Welcome back to the channel, guys. Something a bit different today. We're working on a VW engine, which is quite rare for me because I have nothing against VWs, but I'm a Vauxhall man through and through. So yeah, I thought I'd do a video on this one because my best friend has a VW Polo and it's fitted with one of these engines, and this seems to be a conversion people do. And there's not a lot of information, there's not a lot of answers. Everyone's a bit mixed match on what to use and why to use it. So what we're going to look into today is, this is the 1.4 100 horsepower 16 valve AFH engine. Now these are common conversion engines to put into old Polos. They make reasonably good power for what they are. My friend's is running on bike carbs and makes around 130, 140 horsepower. Stock block and head, set of bike carbs. Yeah, seems to do really, really well, to be fair. But hopefully he won't watch this and I won't admit it. So what we're looking at today is we're building an engine which is a hybrid engine. So what it does is it's a stroker engine. So what it uses is the 1.4 bottom end, and it uses the newer Polo GTI parts to make it a 1.6 stroker. So let's flip this camera around. Let's have a look at what's going on, and I'll go through a few bits of parts you use. Then when we're building the engine, I'll go into a bit more detail, showing you part numbers of what bearings, gaskets, head bolts, and all that type of thing you use, and we'll get this engine built up. So here's a basic breakdown, minus the cylinder head, of what we're going to use to do this conversion. Now, you have the two engines you need the parts from is an AFH, which is the 1.4 100 horsepower 16 valve engine. And you also need the AVY parts, which is the 1.6 Polo GTI engine. Now, what we have here is, this is the block from an AFH 1.4 16 valve. Needs a horn, needs a clean, but obviously I'm just showing you these parts before we start, cleaning and assembling. So that's the 1.4 block. We have then the pistons, which are the 1.6 AVY pistons. I'll come back to them and later on and explain why we're using them. AVY 1.6 rods, AVY 1.6 crank, AFH cams, and that's what we're using. And we're using the AFH cylinder head and rocker cover. As you can see there, nice one painted up. So there's a lot of discussion, as far as I can read on the internet, about using which pistons to use. Now what I seem to be researching is, you can use the AFH pistons, but what people seem to be finding is the compression's very, very high. And with cylinder pressures increasing quite significantly, they're having problems blowing gaskets. So we don't want that problem. We just want a nice reliable engine. So we're going to use the 1.6 AVY pistons. Fingers crossed, when this engine's done with a set of, I think they're CBR 600 pistons, CBR 600 bike carbs, I would like to think we can get 150 horsepower. So yeah, let's follow this journey. We're going to go from start to finish on building the engine, getting it in there, and taking it to the rolling road to get the carb set up, see what horsepower it makes. But it should be an interesting car. 150 horsepower, 750 kg car. It's going to be quite a quick, nice little toy. So yeah, let's get all this cleaned, inspected, measured, and let's start assembling it. Nice one, guys. Right, so the AFH engine's all back from the machine shop, from being horned, cleaned, skimmed, pressure tested, all that type of thing. So it's time to get it all built up. So we're going to crack on with that now. So before I start cracking on with things, I would show you the parts we are using to build this engine. So if anyone wants to do this, they know, what rings to buy, what shells to buy, and what seals to buy. The only thing we're unsure at the moment is the end seals. We don't know whether these ones are the right ones. So I'll confirm that at the end of the video, but we think they're the right ones. So I'll put all the part numbers on the title screen down below, so if people want to write them down, but that's the parts we're using. So yeah, let's get the time lapse going and let's get this engine built up. So with the bottom end assembled, new piston rings, new shells, all back together, all torqued up, I just wanted to show a small clip of how free a bottom end should be when torqued to spec, when clearances are right, because again, I think people that build road engines that don't have experience of how they should feel can sometimes get caught out because they can find a slight notchy spot and go, no, that's all right. And, you know, I want to show you how free and easy it should be. Example of this is my friend Tom at Oldham Engines we were talking last week about a gentleman who'd built a BDA engine, and he literally had a breaker bar, you know, a good 3-4 foot breaker bar trying to turn the engine, and he thought that was right. So just to show you how it should be, this is, I'm literally using, you know, that's literally, you know, no force, no pressure, no nothing. Obviously, you know, it should literally turn nice and free. You should just be able to feel the drag of the piston rings, and it should be, you know, super free. Not notchy, no hard spots, no binding spots, absolutely nothing. To the point of, I am using a tap wrench here, and I'm trying to clean out the thread on the bottom pulley before I put the bottom pulley on. And you can just, you know, it just shows how little force it needs, because the tap is getting a bit bound up on some dirt on the thread, but rather than cut the thread, it's turning the engine over. It is super, super free. Now, another thing you should look at when doing this is oil the bores up, and when you drag the piston down, just check there's no single line anywhere on the bore wall. Now, I have had in the past where I've folded a ring over, or a ring snapped, or something's just not gone right, and it's dragged the line. Now, whilst you're at this point and you see that line, pull the piston out and inspect it. That's what you should be doing. So as you can see, super free, you know, super nice, no binding, no tight spots. That's what an engine should turn over like. I'll do the same when the cylinder head's on, so you can see with a little bit of compression. But again, it should still be super free and not notchy at all. So all done now. The tall motor is all built up. We're literally waiting on a timing belt kit and a water pump so I could kind of finish this end off. But went together relatively smoothly. We got the engine in boxes of parts. The only issue we really had was whoever had stripped the con rods and pistons out, I'd put them in the wrong way. So I had to spin the cam caps 180. That was kind of the majority, the only thing that I came across. Everything seemed to go together nice, no real problems. So yeah, I'll get this finished off, and I probably won't have time to film that. But then the next time you'll see us will be it going into the car and going onto the rolling road to see what power it makes. Like I say, this is a 1.6 hybrid engine of a AFH. So fingers crossed we should see, you know, 140, 150 horsepower. So it should be a really nice build. So what I'll do now is, guys, I'll sign off here. But at the end, I will give you a list of parts I've used. Oh, and also, as I said at the beginning of the video, the seals, the small seal is wrong, just so people know for future reference. And I will put the correct seal. I don't think it'll focus, but we'll have a go. The correct seal for the crankshaft end. I'll put that in the description, which is going to come at the end of all the parts I've used. So yeah, signed off, super happy, everything seems nice. Let's crack on. Thanks, guys. Can I also say like and subscribe, and you know, follow us in the next video. Cheers.